Hello, everybody. Dr. Carmen Bryant, Psychological Health Consultants and Services, with my program, Redefining Yourself. This is a program that was developed for women that are thinking of leaving, needing more education, or have left and are recovering from domestic violence. My specific topic of interest is narcissist abuse. So, overcoming narcissist abuse. Even though the program is developed for women, I do let you know all the time in all my videos that men go through the exact same thing that women go through. And we have many gentlemen that have joined the YouTube channel, and I thank you, gentlemen, for joining. You kings, thank you for joining. They have awesome input. They have awesome experiences. Well, not awesome experiences, but they have awesome input, and they have experiences that they share with us women so that the women can see that men go through the exact same thing that women go through. The sad thing about it is that most people don't assume that men can be abused too. And yes, definitely men can be abused too. And when a man is abused by a narcissistic woman, obviously, well, not obviously, I can't say obviously, let me retract that word. There are women that will fight men like a man, but a man is a man. And for some women, you just cannot physically overtake a man. However, psychologically, and the things they do as a narcissist is just as painful as physical abuse. And you go through the mental pain and the mental anguish, or the emotional pain and the emotional anguish, just like women do. So men go through the same thing that women go through. It's just that the way that the female narcissist may do things is just a little different than a male would do it. But it's the same game. It's the same strategy. It's the same MO. It's just different people. And so first of all, allow me to say thank you to all of you who have subscribed and new subscriber to my YouTube channel. I really appreciate the support. Thank you for all the emails. I did receive the questions. Miss Lena, I did receive your question. Your question was, where is it at? To talk about narc rage. I will do that. I still have another one in reference to narc bosses. I'm going to talk about that. And so today I'm going to have a topic about parenting or co-parenting. First of all, if you have not already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It is Dr. Carmen Bryant, Overcoming Narcissist Abuse, and hit the bell so you know whenever I come on live. I normally come on live on Sundays between 8 and 9, and we've been having some windstorms, and so we've been having some internet issues in the place that I usually record. I'm in my office, so I have better reception here. So there may be a possibility when I come on Sunday, I may only be able to come on the YouTube channel. So you guys stay tuned. Those of you that are on my Facebook page, on the Psychological Health Consultants and Services, if you are on the Psychological Health site, for those of you that watch on the YouTube channel, if there's a possibility I'm unable to connect to the Facebook channel on Sunday, I'm going to let you know. And then I just want someone just to help me out and just let them know on Facebook, if you're on my Facebook, to let them know to come over to YouTube. So that's why it's good to subscribe to both channels, because sometimes we do have internet issues. Sometimes we're having windstorms. And so I just want to make sure I'm able to come on. But just in case we have some issues, I will let you know on Sundays. And those of you that are on both YouTube and on Facebook, I'll let you know so that you can inform the people on Facebook to come over to YouTube. So I appreciate it. Thank you guys for sharing. I keep saying over and over again, share these videos, not just mine, but other people that are talking about, that are hitting this topic in the head. I think I read a post by someone on Facebook that said, people are now coming out talking about narcissist abuse and sharing the information. They're giving you information about what is happening, because many people have been in these narcissistic abusive relationships and had no idea what they were going through. They had no idea what they were going through, and they were holding on to hope. Hope, one of the things that a narcissist said, and I said it in another video, is the last thing to go is hope. People usually hang on to hope, even when it doesn't look like it, you just hang on to hope. Even when you know in your heart that this individual is not going to change, and their behavior and their attitudes are showing you they're not going to change. A narcissist is not going to change. But that hope, that ray of hope, that little hope, they know that you'll hang on to, so they'll just keep on abusing you. The devaluing, the gaslighting, the ghosting, the gray rocking, the discarding. You discarded, a whole bunch of times before you finally realize, hey, something is really wrong. And for some people, after 10, 15, 20, 30, some people said 30 years, or one person said 30 years of marriage and relationship, they realize now after all this time that they have been in a relationship with a narcissist. Imagine how much psychological damage and emotional damage that has done. And now you're waking up to this information, you're getting this information, and you're learning it was never you in the first place. But how hard is it to reprogram your mind from the damage that has been done emotionally? And some of you guys who are emailing me, you're expressing the pain that you're going through. This is horrible. I wanted to use atrocious, make up some more words, but this is a horrible form of abuse, that a human being can treat another human being this way. But most of you are thinking from the concept or from the perspective of a person that has empathy and compassion. You look at an animal and see when an animal is suffering, and you look at a person to tell when a person is suffering. And so you're pleading and begging with the narcissist, don't you understand how much this is hurting me? Don't you have any feelings? No, they don't have compassion. They don't have empathy. They're unable to connect with human emotion, unable to bond. And so you're thinking with your normal compassion, empathy, but they don't have normal compassion and empathy. So you're not thinking the way that they think. They're cut off from that. They don't get it. All they want is fuel. All they want is supply. All they want is their need. It's all about them. You are in a relationship with yourself. If you're married, you are married by yourself. So it's like if they ask you if you're married, I'm married, but he's not, or I'm married, she's not. So you are in a marriage alone. There is no set. As long as they're love bombing you, or as long as they're getting fuel from you, that you're supplying, they're getting fuel from you. Then of course you're gonna walk in, on cloud nine. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. But eventually you'll see them starting to devalue. You slowly start to see there's little things, little things that you catch. It's like, wait a minute, or you just know emotionally. Sometimes you have to that gut check. That check. Sometimes you're like, okay, something is not right. I don't feel, he or she says she loves me, but it doesn't feel right. You go with that gut instinct and start researching. So for those of you that have never seen these videos before, start researching narcissist abuse or narcissism, because your gut instinct may be right. And so today I just wanted to come in and I wanted to talk about counter-parenting versus co-parenting. And so I found this article because, first of all, you're never going to co-parent with a narcissist. It's not going to happen. They're all about themselves. They don't have the capacity to love, and they don't love their children. Their children are sources of supply. I'm not saying every parent does this, but you'll see them do things like dress them alike, because think about it, all the attention is going toward the parent. So you may have a father that combs the daughter's hair, so make hairstyles. Now for a normal parent that doesn't have narcissistic personality disorder, that's cool. And we commend them like, wow, this dad can do girls' hair. This is like awesome. For a narcissist, that's fuel. So they'll do whatever they can to learn how to do it in order to get attention from you, to get fuel, to get compliments, to talk about what a great father they are, what a great mother they are. Buying name brand clothes. They always have name brand clothes, or they always have, this electronic device, or this type of clothing, or this name brand clothing, and it's just like them, and they're dressed like this, and so are they. It's all about the fuel, because all the attention goes to the parent, whether male or female, it goes to the parent. Oh my gosh, you are such an awesome father. Oh my gosh, you are like the bomb mom. So all the fuel all the attention is focused on them. As the child begins to grow up and people start paying attention to the child, this right here is like an injury to a narcissist. They become competitive with their own children. They become competitive with their own kids. And so let me read this article real quick. This comes from, now this article was written, and the author wanted to be anonymous, but it's on psychopathfree.com. It's an article on here. However, the description that she's giving, as you know, narcissists can also have psychopath or sociopath diagnosis, which is now anti-personality disorder. And when I was reading this article, a lot of things that she was explaining was the behavior of a narcissist, who may also be a psychopath. But she was describing the behavior of a narcissist. So let me read this real quick. So first of all, when it comes to co-parenting, you may as well just throw that out the window. Narcissists do not co-parent. They do not. They will sabotage anything that you try to do with your kids. When you co-parent, it's about coming together as parents, whether it's a divorce, you guys are divorced, whether or not you had children, you just live in separate households and never were married to each other. the whole interest between the two parents is that child, making sure the child is healthy, making sure the child knows that they are loved, making sure the child understands that the breakup or them being together is not their fault. Well, to a narcissist, it doesn't matter. It's all about them. It's all about the child worshiping them. It's all about the child seeing them as a great parent. And everybody else seeing them as the great parent. The child is just a pawn in the game. That's the sad part. Now here she says they know their own tricks and how to play them on kids. So think about it. And what she said was, in other words, if he love bombed you, he can do, or her, he can do it to your children, and then suddenly discard them as well. So a narcissist love bombs their own kids. And remember, I told you be very careful, because there are some narcissists that as the child gets older, they see them as an extension of themselves. So they don't have a problem, and I'm not saying all of them, but they don't have a problem having sexual intercourse with their own children, because it's an extension of themselves. And to them, they don't see anything wrong with that. They have basically their first sexual experience causes the child to be even more bonded to them, but it is an extension. It's like having sex with their own self. So they don't care, they don't see that the child is the whole individual person themselves, and on top of that is their child. That's how messed up a narcissist's mind can and is. And here, they will love bomb their own children. The way that they love bombed you may be different than the way that they love bomb the kids, but the way that they love bomb the kid is get them everything that they want, pay a lot of money to do this type of toy, this type of electronic, this type of, everything that child, I'll take you to this, I'll take you to Disney World, I'll take you to wherever you want to go. So think about it. A child likes all that stuff, so a child likes all that stuff. And then let's say the child goes back home to the custodial parent, male or female. And then, if the child may not give them the feel they want and make them feel like this great parent anymore, then what the narcissists do is become busy. So the child cannot get in contact with them. So it'll be days, weeks, or even months that the child talks to the parent. So what happened is that they discarded him. They discarded him and gave him a silent treatment. In order for the child to look, my mommy or my daddy doesn't love me. Why won't they talk to me? I've been trying to call, but they won't pick up the telephone. I don't understand. They're doing the same thing they do to adults. They're doing it to a child, and a child is more vulnerable. A child is easily manipulated. They're kids. They love their parents, and they don't understand what's going on. They're too young to understand what's going on. Let's see. The extra bonus for a psychopathic parent, well, I'm going to replace the word with narcissistic parent, is that he or she can repeat it for a very long time, and the child has no way of going no contact, which is true. If the child gets as far as understanding what is going on, then hard work has been done mostly by the caring parent, sometimes with the help of a good therapist. And so those of you that may be parallel parenting, let's put it that way, with a narcissist, it may be good, if you know what you've been through, is to get your children in counseling. Ask the counselor if they understand what narcissist abuse is. If they don't understand what narcissist abuse is and the effects of it, search until you find a therapist that understands narcissist abuse or abuse in general. But narcissist abuse is very, very unique in itself. But ask them if they understand manipulation and discard. Use that vocabulary. Do you understand what it is to be discarded? Do you understand what it means to get the silent treatment? Do you understand the manipulation that goes behind it? If they're not saying some of the same things that you're hearing on this video, they probably are not well versed in it, in narcissist abuse. But get them into counseling to help the child, be as normal as possible while they're in your care. And talk to the child. Let the child know, hey, and you can't tell the child, because the child loves the parent just as much as they love you. A lot of them struggle with that, that their loyalties, but a narcissist will make them feel that they're super loyal to them, and if you break the silence or say, this is how you get into a dangerous position when a narcissist starts telling a child that you don't tell anything that goes on in my house, or this is in our house, you don't talk about anything that goes on, and you don't talk to your mom or your dad about anything that happens or what we talk about, and if I find out, then I'm going to. Well, a child is young, they don't understand that something may happen, or they cut off all communication, or they give them a silent treatment in their home while they're in their care. So the child is being manipulated as well. They have the power over relationship with the child. That's obvious. In other words, whereas in a normal relationship, people influence each other with psychopathic or narcissistic parents, they exercise his or her control over the children and feels entitled to this. Remember, they already have this problem with entitlement. Plus, on top of that, their mindset is, I have a legal right to this. And the law does not distinguish between types of relationships. And so in the mind of a narcissist, I have the legal right over the child. I can do whatever I want to. They don't believe in personal space. They don't believe in, like, for example, kids that, when children start going into what's the word I'm looking for? Puberty. Their face break out. And say you want to go in their face and mess with their face. Well, if a child is telling you no, and they don't want you to do that, it's not right for you to superimpose yourself and just force yourself to do what you want to do. Well, a narcissistic parent doesn't care. They'll do it anyway. They'll get in the face, they'll mess with their hair, they'll mess with their clothes, they'll touch them, and the child may feel uncomfortable but afraid to speak up for themselves. And so you have to teach your child, go look up videos, good touch versus bad touch. Also teach them about boundaries and whether mom, dad, sister, brother, cousin, auntie, no matter who it is, does not have the right to touch you, and no means no. They don't have the right to put their hands on you. Well, a narcissist doesn't feel that way. They feel that I have the right because this is my property. This is my equipment. This is my source of supply, So I have the legal right to do whatever I want to because this is mine. That's how they think. They will never co-parent with you. Just said that. They will counter-parent. And so in other words, he or she will make it his or her top priority to do unto your parenting efforts, to undo your parenting efforts with your children and make you fail as a parent. And so in other words, you may set certain boundaries. Let's say, bedtime is 9 o'clock, to make sure that you get up early on time to do this, not this. Make sure you do this. Make sure you do this. We don't do this. We don't listen to this. We don't, a narcissistic parent, because they know that you're implementing those rules, would do totally opposite and implement new rules. And so something to teach your child is that, those are the rules that are at mom or dad's house, but these are the rules that are at my house, because they're not going to counterparent with you. They're not going to be parallel with you, okay, I'm going to maintain those rules as well, so that it's easier whenever they transition back and forth. It shows that both of us are on the same sheet of music. They're not going to do that. Anything that you say, they're going to purposely, and then they're going to purposely say something against you, period. Well, that's stupid. I can't believe your dad or your mom is doing that in the first place. Why would they do that anyway? Well, that's not how we do it. They will even attempt to call you to tell you this is how this needs to be done and this is what you need to be doing. Your best bet is just, first of all, not even to answer the calls. But first of all, they don't tell you what the rules are in your house. As long as the child is safe in their house, you don't try not to mess with that. Let the child know for an emergency purposes, you can contact me, but try not to get involved. And you just explain to the child, those are the rules at your mom or dad's house, and these are the rules at my house. But they're never going to make it easy for you. They're not going to make it easy to parent to try to co-parent, quote unquote, with a narcissist is you may as well just stab yourself in the face, because they're purposely going to, it's all about you now. They're wanting to attack you. So whatever they can do to make you respond to them, to make you say something to them, to make you ask them, why would you do that? That's not what I've taught them. That's not, they want that fuel. It's all about you now. They're trying to get back at you. They're trying to make you respond. They need your fuel. You were the source of supply. They need your fuel, so they'll use your kids against you. And so your best bet is explain to the child, those are the rules at mom or dad's house, and these are the rules in our house, but they're not going to cooperate with you whatsoever. And one thing that I can say is that talking to some of the viewers, I have talked to some of the viewers via email, and I have talked to some people that have been in narcissistic relationships. And what they have said is as the child begins to grow up, they begin to grow away from the narcissistic parent. They begin to see their behaviors, and they don't have a choice when they're young, but as they get older, they had a choice, and they didn't want to have anything to do with them. They really cut the parent off. They didn't want to have anything to do with it. They chose not to go to the parent's house. They didn't want to have anything to do with the parent. So eventually they grew up and they saw this nasty human being and how awful this person can be to not just to the parent, maybe the new supply, and the parent, the new supply, and the child. And a lot of them did say that eventually the child just, as they got older, didn't want to have anything to do with the parent. that's what your hopes are, that they'll see it themselves, but you can't speak against that narcissistic parents, because remember, the child still has obligation and love for the parent regardless of how bad that parent is. So another one is they will use the children as weapons regardless of the consequences for them. Exactly. Children are remote controls for a narcissistic parent. She says psychopathic, I say narcissistic. He or she can use these at will to set off some drama for you and them. I just said that, didn't I? He or she can push the buttons and enjoy the show. They know what button to push with you. They know that you care about your kids, and so they'll say, if knowing that you're the type of parent that care for your children and want the safety for your kids, they'll smear you and say that you don't care anything about your children. And so that'll push buttons like, I can't believe you just said that. How dare you? Or they'll slip up and say certain things to the child. They will have inappropriate conversations with the children. They'll talk about child support. Well, I send your mom or your dad this amount of money so they can buy you this, they can buy you that. They're not in your house. They're not responsible for the bills that you pay, and you don't have to explain anything to a child. You're talking to a child. A child should not be approaching you telling you what another parent says. Well, my mom or my dad says that they give you this much money. Well, what you should say is that is grown folks' business. That is adult business. That has nothing to do with you. That is me and the parent business. That has nothing to do with you. You're being taken care of. That is not a conversation you should be having with a child. But a narcissist doesn't care. They don't have boundaries. Remember, they're still children in their head and emotionally. And so they'll do and say whatever. And especially to push your buttons to make you say something. For you to call and say that's an inappropriate conversation, don't you ever. Or in situations in which the mother or the father may force the child to call the new supply mother or father. Well, if the child is not comfortable with calling a new supply mother or father, you should never force a child to call. It could be Mr. or Mrs. That's what they call them. But there are some cases in which the mother or father forces the child to call the new supply mother or father, and it causes confusion with the child. First of all, unless the child wants to do that, that should not be something that's forced upon a child. And so they are confused. And then if they don't do it, what this narcissist will do is use aggression, anger. They'll give them the silent treatment. They will harass those kids the same way they did you, but at a different scale with a child, to force them to do what they tell them to do against the will of the child. Let's see. Any clever narcissist, psychopath, will know his or her children well enough to know which buttons to push. Here, you can make it difficult for them if in time, long time, period time, he or she is excluded from the kids' activities as much as possible and gets more clueless about what they like and how their lifestyle with you is. You don't have to tell them what their lifestyle is with you. You don't have to tell them what, children grow. They don't stay the same age. And as they grow, they mature. Their conversations change. Their communication change. A narcissist is always stuck in the back then. A narcissist is always stuck in the before and this was, and they learn from you. Your best bet is to be quiet. The limited amount of conversation to have with them is in reference to the child. Pick the child up. I put a bag here. This and strictly about the kids. Take your emotions out of it, but no conversation. You should not be that comfortable anymore. And some of you are hurting, so that means the no contact. This is the no contact. But you should not be so comfortable that you should be telling that narcissist what's going on in your house and what you do in your house. You already know you're setting yourself up for failure. Anything that you say, they're going to use it against you. Even when you look at the information that you provided to them, it's like, but that wasn't even information to be used against me. That was a good thing. They'll use anything against you. That's how they are. They're walking chaotic people. They're chaotic in their mind. They're chaotic in their heart. A chaotic person can only distribute chaos. That's all that's in them. A person that has love and compassion, can share that love and compassion, and you can feel that they care. You can feel that they care. You can feel that they're concerned about you, and it passes on. You can feel that. But a person that's completely chaotic and confusing and hate their own selves, and is just, you can tell by the way that they talk. They're full of hatred. They're full of rage. And that was another topic that someone asked me to talk about. But they're full of hatred and they're full of rage. So that's the only thing they can do is reciprocate that, and you can feel it when you're around them. You can just tell. You're like, oh my gosh, I don't even want to be in the same room with this individual. Oh my gosh, when he or she opens their mouth, they just talk. And the more they talk, the more confused I get. And they just talk in circles and circles, called circumstantial and tangential speech. Circumstantial means they just talk in circles, and get back to the point eventually. Tangential means they just go off on a tangent. They just talk, and all totally off the topic. That's what they do. They usually go on a tangent. Let's see. Where was I at? So, they make it their priority. Let me see. They will never co-parent. Okay, they'll make it a priority to undo your parenting, to make you look like a failure. Not only is this a horrible, tough battle for the caring parent, a long one, it's a nice hobby for the narcissist. It's thrilling to see how sometimes very little effort he or she can undo your hard work and make you suffer. So every time the child comes back home to you, or every time you get the child back to you, you have to work hard, hard, hard to undo the mess that they did, because they did it on purpose. They will use the children as weapons. We talked about that. So let's see. That means that you don't need to tell everything that's going on in your house, because it does not concern them. They do not love their children, but will demand love in return. And even when the children do adore their narcissistic mom or dad, it's still not enough. It never is, never ever enough. It wasn't enough for you, so it's not going to be enough for the kids. You're looking at yourself, but you got to look at the kids. But they're still a good father. They're still doing the same thing they were doing to you. And whatever it is, the love is just never enough. It's never enough. It will never be enough to appease him or her. Not enough to trust the children, and not enough to be there for them. Let's see. On the other hand, any lack of complete adoration from the children will give him or her the right to retaliate against you. So you are responsible for making sure that your kids worship that narcissist. You saw that? You guys know better. They will use the children at will to prove themselves to a new partner. Okay. But sadly, this also means that after totally discarding their own children and treating them as stranger, the narcissist will then be able to prove to his new partner what an evil person you are, and put the other woman or man in a triangle with you that you never wanted. So what they're saying is this. They want something and demand something from the child. And so what they'll do is they'll cut off communication. They'll discard the children. And then what they'll do is if the new supply has kids, they'll treat the children like, kings and queens, and buy them things and spend time with them. And so of course now they're convincing the new supply, especially if it's a woman, oh my gosh, this is such an awesome father figure for my children. I can't, oh my gosh, I can't believe that his ex-wife or ex-girlfriend didn't see how wonderful this individual is. But she doesn't know the background. He doesn't know the background, especially a woman comes in and loves your children. And a lot of times they're doing that to get you. But they do this, but you have no idea what they've done to their own children. And then, of course, when the children... when the children show up, or they have behavioral problems, or they try to, the child is crying, you don't talk to me, or whatever happens. Of course, now they go to this new supply and says, you see what kind of person he is. You see what type of person she is that would keep me away from my children, that wouldn't even allow me to talk to my kids, when it actually was the narcissist that cut the kids off. And so you see what a terrible person, and you see how I do with your kids. That's exactly how I am with mine. I treat yours better than I treat my own. But remember, now they're playing a psychological game with the new source of supply as well. Let's see. So you get his or her anger, as do the children at times, and he gets, or she gets, their devotion and overflowing pity. So the narcissist gets all this pity and, oh my gosh, I can't believe that this person would treat you so horrible. They have no clue what they're dealing with. Very rarely, not in this individual's experience, does he or she actually show him or herself to be proud of his children, even though he or she sees himself or herself as the best ever dad or mom. So, but that's how they see it. But the reality is that they're not great parents. They're not great parents. Most of them are not great parents. They may teach some good values to the parents. To the children. They may teach them certain things that are the great, pieces and parts of what they may teach them is very good for the child. They may believe in respect. They may believe in personal hygiene. They may believe in cleaning up. They do teach them certain things. But remember, it's all to get, everything that they do has a reason for what they do. Everything that they do it, and they have a reason why they do it. And it's not about the kids. It's about the narcissist and getting focused on themselves, getting attention to themselves. And so it's nothing to do with the kids, even though they're teaching that to the kids. But the whole point is that someone's going to say, you are an awesome mother or awesome father. You are awesome, and you taught your children this. That is awesome. Most parents don't do. Well, they're doing that to get the fuel from people. They're not doing it to help the kid. They're doing it to get the fuel from other people. Let's see. They will stick to the right of being in touch with you, using the children as an excuse. Well, when the child is old enough to communicate to the parent, what is the point of talking to the other parent? Number one, unless it requires, the child requiring transportation, requiring certain things that requires you to interact, there's really no purpose for you and the individual to talk. If nowadays most kids got cell phones, or iPads, or some type of social media, depending on the age. And so it's not like the mother or father can't get in contact with the child. They can talk to the child, and so the child and the parent can have plenty of communication. But if you're no contact with a narcissist, they'll still use any means possible to have communication with you. Long, drawn out conversations about nothing. So here it says this means that he or she gets this power of going totally no contact with you at times when you really need him or her for important decisions in the lives of their kids. And then he or she will bother you day and night if he or she feels like it, or feels that you might be weak for whatever reason, using the children and his right or her right to be their mother or father when it's convenient to them. See? So they play this game. You have to stick to your boundaries. You have to stick to your guns. If you're going to go no contact, you go no contact. When it comes to the children, it's essential information concerning the kids, and that's it. There is no long, drawn-out conversation. Situations like, I really love this. I'm glad that me and you are working together. I'm glad. That is irrelevant. That is totally irrelevant. No, what do you want? And whether you're going to respond or not, that should be that should be the relevance of your conversation, is what you're talking about, which is the children and their needs and what they need. But all that other conversation is irrelevant. That's what I was trying to say. That other conversation is irrelevant. You don't have to have this great conversation with the narcissist, because you already know that they're hoovering you, or they're using the children to suck you back in so they can argue or degrade you, put it that way. So you've learned something here. Hopefully you've learned something here concerning what we would say co-parenting, which is not co-parenting, counter-parenting, or parallel parenting with a narcissist. Is not an easy job, especially for those of you that are single parents or having to do it by yourself. They'll do anything they possibly can do. They're just malicious like that, and they'll do anything they can possibly do to make you suffer. That means talk about you to your kids. You just have to be the person that maintains, some type of normality for your child. Be an example for that child. Talk to your child. You can't talk to the child because they may not understand what narcissist is, and a lot of professionals do, kind of frown not to talk about, the fact that the mother or father may be a narcissist. But what you can do is you can talk about good touch, bad touch, boundaries, saying no. Having, when you're introducing this information, you're getting this information, no one walks into the bathroom while you're in the bathroom. When you're getting dressed, no one walks into there. No one touches your body. If you feel uncomfortable, that is a bad touch if you feel uncomfortable. If someone is in your face, or if someone is touching you, or you just don't want to be hugged or kissed, or, that you have the right to say no. And if the person is forcing you to do it, it is wrong. Even when it comes to, remember the forcing forcing the child to call a new supply mother or father. You let them know that is not right. And anyone that forces you to do anything you don't want to do, that's your right to do it when you want to do it. Eventually, as they get older, I hate to say, some kids get rebellious and they start fighting the narcissist back. And so they bump heads like this. And so you have to be careful, because then the narcissist will get even more aggressive, where it may become physical aggression. So you guys watch that. Communicate with your children. Talk to your kids. But don't, for some of you guys that are hurting, some information is too much information. Your children are not your therapist. Your children are not your best friends. You are the parent. If there's room for friendship, that's fine. You are always the parent, though. These are not your sounding boards. These are not your BFFs. These are not your therapists. You don't tell the child all your emotional feed. You're confusing the kid. You're making the situation worse. And so what I really recommend is find a good therapist that understands children abuse, and ask them questions about narcissist abuse. Do they understand narcissist abuse? So hopefully this has helped you. I know it was a little long and lengthy because I was reading and trying to give some information in between there. But thank you guys so much for following me. I need to go blow my nose. I apologize. This is the weather. But Thank you guys for subscribing to my channel. Thank you guys for all the questions, even the topics that you want me to talk about. I really appreciate it. If there's anything you want me to talk about, just email me, Dr. Carmen Bryant, DrCarmenBryant @outlook.com. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is Dr. Carmen Bryant, Overcoming Narcissist Abuse, and hit the bell so you know whenever I post a new video, and whenever I go on live, which is usually Sundays between 8 and 9, which is Pacific Standard Time because I'm in Washington State. And so I know some of you guys are 2, 3, 4, and up to 8 or 9 hours ahead, and I try to come on a little early. I know some of you guys will end up having to do the replay, and I appreciate that. Share the videos. I do have a professional Facebook page, which is Psychological Health Consultants and Services, and hit the like button. I do post the videos on there as well. Now keep in mind, you guys remember, we've been having some pretty bad weather. We've been having some windstorms, and so we've been having issues with our internet and our electricity. So in the event that I'm unable to come on Facebook on Sunday due to the weather conditions, I will be on YouTube though, because I can still get on YouTube. And for those of you that are on YouTube, in the event that I can't go on the Facebook, I'm hoping that you guys would just go to Facebook and just let them know to come over to YouTube. Okay, I maybe have to do it on the telephone. I may have to do it on the phone, but then I won't be able to record on both devices. But I'll try to go on the telephone, and I'll try to figure it out, okay? I'll try to figure it out. But you guys stay tuned. Make sure you could share the videos. Make sure that someone is getting this information. You don't know what they're going through, or you don't know who that's closest to you is going through this right here, this type of abuse. And it's really horrible. And a lot of people say, I never knew. And they're like, I never knew either. So share the videos. Make sure you get the information out there. Educate people. Let them know so we can help. I mean, there are people that have committed suicide. We have YouTube viewers that have said that the ex-wife of the narcissist committed suicide. Do you see why? This is what we're trying to prevent. We're trying to prevent this from happening by sharing this information, by educating you guys and getting you guys healthy again. It was never your fault. You're dealing with an individual that has a mental illness. They have a personality disorder. They have a character flaw. They have a dysfunctional personality disorder, and they probably have other mental health illness, depression, anxiety, drug addictions, which we talked about yesterday. Psychopath, sociopath, they're on the same level. Psychopath, sociopath, which is anti-personality disorder, and narcissism, all on the same playing field, same plane, same plane. So share these videos, and thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you guys. As my friend always says, go and be great.